Doctoratus Scientiae, Professor Patrick Fitzpatrick, Praesentabit Dinesh Singh.
Chancellor, Register, President, Ambassador of India, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Connections between Cork and India can be traced back to the 18th century. They resulted from the expanding network of commerce, trade and migration that was the British Empire. When the Indian travel writer Abu Talib Khan visited Cork in 1799, the city's residents already included prominent Indians such as the colourful Sake Din Mohammed, who would later introduce Britain to shampoo and Indian cuisine through the famous Hindustani coffee shop. Khan was very impressed by Cork and wrote glowingly of this extensive sheet of water, the verdure of the hills, the comfortable appearance of the town on one side, and the romantic cottages on the other. The relationship between University College Cork and India stretches back to the foundation of Queen's College Cork in 1845. During its first 75 years, the university was a major centre for the intellectual formation of colonial civil servants, doctors and engineers, a significant proportion of whom served in India. UCC graduates had an often disproportionate impact on the administrative, educational and professional landscape of India. In the field of medicine, in particular, graduates such as Sir Edwin Butler, Imperial Mycologist, Charles Donovan, Professor of Physiology, Madras Medical College, Edward Cotter, Commissioner of Public Health, Government of India, and R.W.G. Hingston, Medical Officer to Mallory's 1924 Mount Everest expedition, played key roles in the study and prevention of endemic diseases such as Kala-Azar fever, as well as in the expansion of medical education, public policy and research. The acquisition and dissemination of knowledge also happened in the opposite direction. From the mid-1850s, Queen's College Cork offered specialised courses on Indian geography, history, languages and law, and professors were recruited to teach tropical medicine and the latest advances in public health. It also accumulated a large library and museum collection donated by alumni, which provided students with a knowledge of India's diverse cultural, linguistic and religious traditions. By the end of the century, the interconnectedness between Cork and India was felt even in rural communities, such as Timoleague, where the Maharaja of Gwalior commissioned an elaborate mosaic, many of you will know this, dedicated to his friend and surgeon, Colonel Elmer Martin Crofts, a Queen's College alumnus and officer in the Indian Medical Service. By that I mean many of you will know the church in Timoleague, but perhaps not its provenance. Today, University College Cork remains an outward-looking international university as it was in the 19th century. Our deep historical links with India have been reinvigorated by a growing cohort of Indian students coming to UCC, by academic partnerships and research collaborations with leading universities across India. In the past few years, we have established connections in Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Pune, Kerala, Hyderabad, Karnal and elsewhere. Our aim is crystallised in the notion of connectedness at all levels, within the higher education system, in research, faculty interaction and programmes of study, and externally with government, industry and enterprise. In the past year alone, over 20 UCC academic staff have made research visits to India, and an equal number have come here from India. We have 20 or so students from India on short study visits, and over 130 Indian students in full-time programmes, about 50 of whom are pursuing PhD studies. And we are in the process of setting up a study abroad programme to allow UCC students to study and visit and study in India. One of the institutions that we have linked with is the University of Delhi, where we have connections in anthropology, the study of religions, biosciences and ICT. Consistently ranked as the top comprehensive university in England, Delhi has 16 faculties, 86 academic departments, 77 colleges and 5 other recognised institutes spread all over the city, 10,000 academic staff, 225,000 students in regular programmes and a similar number again in non-formal education. And this brings me to the main point of this discourse, which is to introduce to you one of the most remarkable personalities in the hugely diverse society that is modern India. Professor Dinesh Singh is the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Delhi. He graduated with bachelor's and master's degrees in mathematics from St Stephen's College of that university and a PhD from Imperial College London. Dinesh returned as a lecturer to Delhi University in 1981 and progressed along the academic track until his appointment as professor in 1997, having also spent periods as visiting scientist at the Indian Statistical Institute and visiting professor at the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. His research in functional analysis and operator theory is of the highest quality, with publications in journals such as the Proceedings of the London Mathematical Society, Proceedings of the American Mathematical Society, and Mathematician at Crichton. His research was recognised by the award of the AMU Prize by the Indian Mathematical Society in 1989 and the Career Award in Mathematics by the University Grants Commission in 1994. He collaborates widely, and in particular with faculty at the University of Houston, Texas, where he has been an adjunct professor since 1999, and from where he also recently received an honorary doctorate. In 2005, following many years of progressively more important administrative roles within the university, Professor Singh's career took a formal turn away from mathematics with his appointment as the director of Delhi's South Campus, and in 2010, after a short time as Pro-Vice-Chancellor, he was appointed Vice-Chancellor. Dinesh is a member of many committees of the Government of India, such as the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet, the Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research, the Steering Committees on Science and Technology, and Higher and Technical Education, and the Government Planning Commission. He is a member of the governing body of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and he is on the boards and executive councils of many other universities, institutions, and professional bodies. In recognition of his enormous contributions at the highest levels of science and education, he was decorated in 2014 by the President of India with the third highest civilian award in India, Padma Shri. Since being appointed Vice-Chancellor, Dinesh has instituted a number of radical reforms. He began by inheriting and bringing to fruition a project to introduce a semester system with a greater emphasis on continuous assessment rather than terminal examinations. That sounds like a very simple statement, but we know very well from our recent adoption of the same system here in UCC just how difficult such a change can be to implement. Not content with that, he then went on to enter into an intensive and very wide-ranging period of consultation on the degree structures. The undergraduate programme in Delhi was largely based on 3-year degrees, with many students destined to achieve only a pass degree from early on in their studies. Under Dinesh's leadership, 3-year degrees were replaced universally by 4-year ones, with accredited exit points at years 2 and 3 and full honours awards after 4 years. This reform was not just for organisational change for the sake of efficiency. Rather, it was motivated by the desire to optimise the experience of the students. The new 4-year degree programme is designed not so much to put more material into the curriculum as to give students more time to reflect on their studies, to provide them with the opportunity to participate in first-year foundation courses in areas such as philosophy, psychology, communications and sciences, and to allow them to spend more time on project work and research and innovation, particularly in the final year of study. Again, in parallel with our own UCC journey in this area, he would no doubt agree that our graduates should be not only work-ready, but also world-ready. I should emphasise that these reforms were instituted only after a very wide consultation with staff and students, for which Dinesh has gained quite a reputation. Indeed, at one event which brought together 4,000 students in a sports stadium, he got a reception that was reported by a leading Delhi newspaper as being more akin to that accorded to rock stars than university vice-chancellors. Following these consultations, other reforms followed. Wide-ranging improvements in the student experience, such as expanded access to computer technology. All 60,000 first-year students in 2013 were provided with state-of-the-art laptops. Improved internet connections across all the colleges and the city. Enhanced conditions for students with special needs. A focus on the experience of women on the campus. More campus accommodation places and more efficient administrative processes, which, for example, now guarantee that examination results are delivered to students within a clearly defined time frame. Remember, this is a city with a multiple campus university of 250,000 students. The complexity of implementing this reform agenda cannot be overestimated. And of course, as with all major changes in large organisations, especially universities where freedom of speech is a highly prized attribute, these reforms were met with no little opposition. But Dinesh weathered those storms with his characteristic self-deprecating modesty and an enduring sense of humour. Dinesh has also raised the profile of research throughout the university, bringing it to a new emphasis through the creation of an innovation centre for undergraduate students, in which this programme, groups of 10 students from a range of disciplines participate in research projects of their own choosing, aimed at analysing and proposing solutions to some of the major challenges facing India in the 21st century. In one astonishing venture, Dinesh acquired an entire India Railways train, the Ganai Express, which has become a travelling classroom. It takes over 1,500 students on a journey through some of the major provinces of India, where they interact with local communities, observing and debating issues with them, and reflecting on these issues among themselves. Returning to the city, the students write reports considering areas such as environmental issues and social problems, and proposing remedies and solutions. One of the first trips on the train was dedicated entirely to female students. Once again, to compare with UCC, this idea of the student experience involving the whole of student life, from study to sport and from social development to personal development, has also been a central component of our own thinking for the past several years. But Dinesh takes this a step further. He constantly encourages students to seek their inner voice. In his view, the cultivation of the inner person is an essential element of the university experience. In a recent interview, he said, "I want to help the youth of India to find their inner calling. You must figure out who you are, what is inside you, and learn to do what you should do in society. Now that is what education is all about, and the rest is secondary. If we can do that with a student, then we are successful." I think we in UCC may have a lesson to learn in that. Following the recent election of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is destined to become more externally focused and will certainly play an increasingly significant part in both Asian and in global politics. We have no doubt that Professor Dinesh Singh will take a leading role in that reorientation, and we will watch with great interest. As Martin Wolf put it in his Financial Times article following the election, one thing is for sure, India has a new game. Pay attention. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is precisely what we are doing here. Dinesh Singh is an ardent believer in living a balanced life. He is a dedicated family man with a grown-up family of a daughter and a son, and his wife is a specialist in nutrition. He continues to carry out research in mathematics, in spite of the demands of the Vice-Chancellorship. He is an avid reader and loves to listen to music, both classical and Sufi. He is an adherent of Ayurveda, the ancient Indian science of health, and a keen student of Gandhian philosophy. And as if that were not enough, he is, in his spare time, also a painter on canvas. Dinesh Singh est Ganitenya, Samarit Siksak, Anvesak, Rachinatmak, Our Ek, Prernadyak Neta, May Bohut Guskesat, Professor Dinesh Singh ko, Amatrit Kartaho, Kio Akur, Apni degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, Sikar Kare. Dinesh Singh, mathematician, dedicated teacher, innovator, radical thinker, and inspirational leader. It gives me great pleasure to invite you to receive the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis hunc meam filium, quam scio tam moribus, quam doctrina habilem edidonium esse, qui habilitator honoris causa ad gradum doctoratus scientiae, ique tibi fide, testor expondeo tutique academiae. Ego doctoritatem necessitatem, gradum doctoratum scientiae honoris.
Mr. Chancellor, Madam Registrar, Mr. President, distinguished members in the procession, distinguished guests, colleagues, I am flattered by what Patrick said. And I couldn't help get the feeling that my father would have loved to hear all this, but only my mother would have believed it. However, thank you so much, Patrick, for all that you have said. I'm deeply honored and greatly humbled that I have been conferred this honorary degree. And the humility is that much more felt by me because as a mathematician, I'm conscious of the fact that one of the greatest mathematical minds to have ever been witnessed in history, George Boole, was a professor at UCC. I feel his presence while I'm here at Cork. And I've always been an ardent admirer of George Boole from my school days, never realizing that one day his own university would signal this honor for me. I'm a married man, and as any married man knows, I don't have any great expectations of wisdom thrust upon me. However, I cannot help but get wiser each day. They say wisdom is a comb that life gives you after you've lost your hair. However, whatever little hair I have, with this comb of wisdom that comes to me day by day, I cannot help get the feeling that somewhere I have begun to understand a little better what education is all about. And in that context, the little time that I have spent at Cork has greatly enhanced my insights. I have been overwhelmed by the hospitality, and there is some danger that I would be tempted to overstay my welcome here. It has been that overwhelming. But I cannot help but imbibe the traditions that Ireland has and the impact it has had on India, as Patrick so commendably outlined. This honor that has been given me is an affirmation of the fact that there are connections between India and Ireland that date back to a long time. Our freedom struggle was greatly inspired by Ireland's own efforts. Our constitution draws upon your constitution. There are things that come to us sometimes about which we may not be aware. One of those is the fact that I have close connections with the Department of Mathematics here much before I became conscious of it. I have, in mathematical parlance, my mathematical brothers, distinguished mathematicians who work with the same professor that I did at Imperial College, who have been on the faculty here. I was unaware of that. So there are always these connections. And I go back enriched. And in many ways, my own purpose in life is strengthened by this recognition that you have conferred upon me. Each day we face certain challenges. Each day we question ourselves. Each day we try to find the right path. As I speak before you today, I have drawn more strength. When Patrick said that I think of education as a process which allows you to recognize that inner drumbeat and then to march in the real world in harmony with the drumbeat, I begin to see that and I begin to understand that better because of my presence here. I would love to have greater interaction, not just between UCC and the University of Delhi, but between the two countries. And I can foresee that. This recognition is also an affirmation of the expectation that now rests on our shoulders. I will do my utmost. I believe that the most important thing about education is that it knows no barriers, that it engenders great ideas expressed through young minds and their actions that transcend the tyranny of geography, that transcend the tyranny of all barriers. And I have great expectations that in the years to come, UCC, the University of Delhi, and the two countries, Ireland and India, will join hands in making the pursuit of education even nobler. And in that spirit, I'm reminded of the opening stanza of the ancient and great Indian text, which by most conservative estimates is at least 5,000 years old, the Rig Veda, which says, "Let noble ideas come from every direction." And the noble ideas that I have begun to imbibe from here, I take back with me to my country. Patrick spoke of the train, the Dawn of Knowledge Express that we run in India as a full college on wheels. As I have been told many times by many of my colleagues here, including the President, that I am an optimist, and my optimism extends to faith that technology will one day lay a rail line all the way from India to Cork, and I will send that train here. May God allow that. Thank you very much.
Chancellor, the ninth contribution of the occasion will be short. I simply want to take the opportunity to welcome everybody to the Aula Maxima for another extraordinary occasion where we honour extraordinary people. I make the remark every year that as a republic we don't have knights and we don't have dames, lords or earls. The best we've got is university recognition of stellar performance by individuals wherever in the globe to the benefit of all of us. And today we have seen and heard from 4 extraordinary people whom we are so proud to welcome into membership of this university for the rest of their lives. Some fear that the award of an honorary degree is a measure of our belief that they're now past it and that's the best that they will do. But I want to assure each of them that in fact awards from UCC can in fact stimulate further success. And I cite nothing less than the fact that in the past year, one of our awardees of 2009 was appointed United States Ambassador to the United Nations by President Obama. Careers continue after a Cork accolade. To conclude this event, we normally invite you to the quadrangle for a garden party, and each year I have extolled the fact that in living memory we have never been anywhere other than the quadrangle for the garden party. This year is different. It marks, and I hark back to Professor Dinesh Singh's comments, this year happens to mark the beginning of an enormous celebratory opportunity for this university, and that is George Boole's 200th birthday falls next year, and we will have a number of events of this nature to recognise global figures who exploited Boolean logic to our benefit. Unfortunately, Boole chose bad times of the year, both to be born and to die, November and December. So today we are having a practice run for garden parties in November and December. And that is why we are now going to repair to the common room to honour our guests, this year's conferees. Thank you all for coming and enjoy the party for the next couple of hours. Thank you very much.
Pre honorabiles cancellariae, totaque universitas, ceremonies vitae confectis, queso facias finam, huius convocationes universitariae.